Hello and welcome to the Grand Line Review, your source for everything One Piece. Today we are going to continue our quest through the story of One Piece and examine the second arc in the series, Orange Town. Orange Town spans chapters 8 to 21 in the manga and episodes 4 to 8 of the anime. Manga-wise, that's a total of 14 chapters, making it exactly twice as long as the initial Romance Dawn arc. And here, we mark the first official appearance of the future Straw Hat Navigator Nami. If you're an anime viewer, you will have already met her in the previous arc, but as a manga purist, I will insist to the day that I die that Nami as we know her first appeared in Orange Town. And she was a perfect injection of character into the story. Here was a protagonist in a pirate manga who was actually willing to lie and steal her way through the world. It was oddly refreshing, actually. In fact, the entire theme of this arc really is treasure, and we look at that from a couple of different perspectives. First of all, as stated before, we have the thief Nami, who values traditional gold and money as treasure. The villain of the arc, Buggy the Clown, shares Nami's definition of treasure. However, we also have two very important characters in Shushu and Mayor Boodle, who hold treasure in a different form. For the mayor, his treasure is his town, which is rather unfortunately being ravaged by the Buggy pirates. And for the ever-adorable Shushu, his treasure is his owner's pet food store. With these four characters in mind, the arc really becomes a battle to see who is more determined to fight for what they hold dear. And I think it's fair to say that both Shushu and Mayor Boodle would have gladly died to protect their own treasure. And that passion is what inspires Luffy to tip the scales in their favor, because he understands their perspective, as he has a rather unorthodox treasure of his own, being the Straw Hat. So treasure is a really nice overarching theme that really ties the arc together. However, it also plants the seed for the fact that the One Piece itself is no stock standard pile of gold. While it's still the greatest mystery in the entire series, we do know that the Pirate King's treasure was also something quite unorthodox. But heading back to the all-important main antagonist, Orange Town introduces the legendary Buggy the Clown, but unfortunately he's not so legendary during this arc. I'm sure I've said this somewhere before, but initially I disliked Buggy quite a bit. During Orange Town, he's represented as a really two-dimensional villain, which I guess is to be expected in an arc all about treasure, but as a result he was just kind of boring. The most interesting thing about him was that he was a devil fruit user, and that was fascinating because up until now, Luffy was the only fruit user we knew of, so it was great to see another power at work. But that alone didn't quite save Buggy as a villain, at least for me, and at least during this arc. As time went by and Buggy was relegated to an occasional side character, I started to love him. And even further on, by the time we were in the Impel Down arc, I was thrilled with just about every panel he was in. However, this is Orange Town, and I really couldn't wait to see the end of the clown here. I mean, I probably shouldn't be so harsh on Buggy though, because at the very least he did have a great flashback revealing that he was one of the Roger pirates with Shanks. It was a nice smooth move to expand the world and connect Buggy to a character we know, rather than having him be a completely forgettable random villain. Fortunately, I actually found Buggy's crew a little bit more interesting than Buggy himself. I mean, Moji the Lion Tamer wasn't so great on his own, but Richie really stole the show for me. And actually, his defeat probably marks the first time in the series that I started to take Luffy seriously. Watching this rubber boy just wander on up and put the smackdown on this giant lion was nothing short of incredible. And I also quite liked Kabaji. The idea of a swordsman on a unicycle is still pretty absurd, but he's handled very well in signature Oda style. His fight against Zoro was highly enjoyable, and I guess I just really appreciate any character who gives Zoro a chance to shine. And speaking of said shining, Zoro had a pure boss moment during this arc when he carried away that heavy as hell looking cage with Luffy inside of it. And just as Luffy defeating Richie made me start to take him seriously, it was probably this moment that opened my eyes to Zoro's willpower, and it's always great to look back on. But yeah, Orange Town is a solid arc that expands both the characters and the world whilst providing a heartfelt story and really delving into the true definition of treasure. So with that, we are going to go ahead and bring this review to a close. Next week, we are going to tackle the Syrup Village arc, which notably marks the introduction of Usopp into the series. If you enjoyed this video, then feel free to like, favorite, or subscribe, and please do comment with your thoughts on the Orange Town arc. This has been the Grand Line Review, and I'll see you next time.